The MCU has given us legendary moments, and then there are the scenes that made millions of people groan, slam paws, and scream at their screens. Today, we're counting down 40 of the most hated scenes in Marvel history, including the one scene every Marvel fan complained about. Picture it. The universe is one glove grab away from being saved. Thanos is pinned, the gauntlet is sliding off his hand, and Star-Lord throws it all away. One tantrum, and half of all life turns to dust. The single most punchable decision in the entire saga. Right after Peggy Carter's funeral, Captain America comforts himself by making out with her niece. The timing is gross, the chemistry is non-existent, and Sharon was barely a character before this. It comes out of nowhere, adds nothing to the plot, and Bucky and Falcon's creepy approving nod from the car somehow makes it worse. A romance nobody asked for, dead on arrival. She-Hulk ends its finale by literally breaking the show to argue about its own script, then caps it off with a twerk session beside Megan Thee Stallion.
Tasted that. Num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1.
After 8 episodes building a courtroom comedy, the big payoff is a fourth wall gimmick and a dance break. It feels like the writers ran out of ideas and decided being random counted as a punchline. Nothing about it landed. Secret Invasion drops a bomb. Rhodey has been a Skrull imposter, possibly for years. Suddenly, every emotional beat with Tony, every moment from Civil War to Endgame, is in question. Was it ever even him? The twist isn't earned, it's never properly explained, and it rewrites beloved history just for a cheap shock. Tony Stark's best friend, retroactively erased. Mid-battle in Endgame, the action freezes so every female hero can line up shoulder to shoulder for a slow-motion girl power pose. The intent is fine, but the execution is clunky. It stops the most epic fight in MCU history dead in its tracks, feels bolted onto the script, and reminds everyone these characters had never actually shared the screen.
Don't worry. She's got help.
Quantumania spends the whole movie hyping Kang as the next Thanos-level threat, then has him beaten in a chaotic blur and finished off by a random swarm of giant ants from a throwaway subplot. The franchise's big new villain goes down like a mid-boss. It's a limp, confusing finale that fumbles the most important character Marvel was building toward.
How many Avengers I've killed, and you think you can beat me? I am Kang!
WandaVision teased the multiverse for weeks by recasting Quicksilver with the X-Men's Evan Peters. Fans built theories for months. The payoff? He's just a guy named Ralph Bohner under a spell. A literal boner joke. It deflated one of the biggest mysteries in MCU history with a cheap pun and made everyone who got invested feel completely played. The Illuminati get an epic intro, Mr. Fantastic, Captain Carter, Professor X, and then Wanda slaughters them in minutes. These legends are built up just to be torn apart like wet paper. It makes the multiverse's mightiest heroes look helpless, exists purely for shock value, and treats long-awaited cameos as disposable cannon fodder, a total waste of hype.
And the smartest man alive, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four.
Love and Thunder introduces Axel, the son of Heimdall, whose entire power is projecting a giant glowing floating head. It's played for laughs, looks ridiculous, and turns Heimdall's noble legacy into a goofy CGI gimmick. The kid conveniently pops up to bail out the plot whenever the writers need him, and every appearance yanks you right out of the movie.
No longer go by the name Astrid. I'm now known as Axel. He's a singer from a popular band I heard on Earth.
No Way Home spent a year teasing villains across the multiverse, so when Venom finally showed up, fans expected an actual clash. Instead, Eddie Brock gets drunk at a beach bar, learns nothing, and gets yanked back home before Peter ever arrives, leaving only a speck of symbiote behind. A massive crossover reduced to a post-credits punchline and a bar tab. Before we move on to the next scene, real quick, I put a ton of work into these videos, and the only thing I ask in return is a like and a subscribe. That's all it takes. Endgame turns Thor's depression and trauma into a running fat joke. The God of Thunder is reduced to a beer-bellied gamer the movie laughs at, not with. His grief was real and could have been powerful, but instead nearly every scene mines his body for cheap gags. It undercuts one of the MCU's strongest heroes, and the jokes never stop, dragging into later films. Taskmaster is a beloved mercenary with a wisecracking personality and photographic reflexes. Black Widow turns him into a silent, mind-controlled drone, and secretly, Dracon Chekhov's daughter. Stripping away the voice, the swagger, and the entire identity left a fan-favorite villain unrecognizable. A wasted antagonist hidden behind a blank mask the whole film. After 2 films of build-up, Ragnarok kills off the Warriors 3 in seconds. Hogun, Fandral, and Volstagg, Thor's loyal companions, get swatted aside by Hela one by one with 0 weight and no farewell. Years of setup tossed away as glorified speed bumps so the villain could look strong. Loyal characters deserved far better than instant throwaway deaths.
What have you done with Thor?
I'm Hela.
Black Panther is a masterpiece, until the finale, where 2 weightless CGI panthers clang together on a glowing vibranium track. After grounded, emotional build-up between T'Challa and Killmonger, their showdown looks like a video game cutscene. It's the weakest visual in an otherwise gorgeous film, and it deflates the movie's biggest emotional payoff. Age of Ultron tries to deepen Black Widow by revealing the Red Room sterilized her, then has her equate that with being a monster. The line lands horribly, implying her worth is tied to having children. It reduces a fierce, complex hero to her fertility, drops in the middle of a clumsy romance, and stays one of the most tone-deaf beats in the saga. Quantumania turns Darren Cross into MODOK, a giant floating head with a tiny body and Corey Stoll's face crudely pasted onto it. The design is hideous, the CGI looks unfinished, and a villain meant to be menacing becomes an instant meme. Then he dies whimpering that he's an Avenger now. One of the most embarrassing character designs Marvel has ever put on screen.
You were right about me. Are you okay?
Far From Home asks us to believe a grieving teenager hands over Tony Stark's most dangerous weapon, a drone army with lethal kill access, to a man he just met. Peter gives EDITH away out of pure insecurity, no questions asked. It makes Spider-Man look reckless, Stark look careless, and the entire plot hinges on one baffling lapse in judgment.
See, that wasn't so hard. Somebody get this stupid costume off me!
Secret Invasion ends not with espionage and tension, but with 2 Skrulls juiced up on the powers of every Avenger, blasting each other in a glowing CGI slugfest. After a slow, grounded spy thriller, the finale becomes a generic super fight that ignores everything the show was building. It traded suspense for a cheap power-up light show. Iron Man 2 has Tony, dying and self-pitying, get blackout drunk inside the Iron Man suit at his own birthday party, firing repulsors at guests for laughs. It's meant to show his spiral, but it drags on, feels juvenile, and makes the hero genuinely unlikable. A cringe-inducing low point that nearly turns Tony into the villain of his own movie. Natasha sacrifices herself on Vormir to save the universe, and Endgame barely pauses for her. Tony gets a grand funeral with the whole world watching. Natasha gets a quiet chat by a lake. One of the original 6 Avengers, there since day 1, is mourned almost in passing. After everything she gave up, the missing send-off still stings to this day. Hawkeye finally brings back Kingpin, the terrifying crime lord from Daredevil, only to take him down in a clumsy, anticlimactic alley scuffle, then shoot him off screen. One of Marvel's most menacing villains, built up across an entire season, is dispatched like a joke. In Love and Thunder, Zeus yanks Thor's clothes off in front of a roaring crowd for a long, leering, gawking gag.
Disguise. And flick. Flick too hard, damn it!
The whole beat exists only to ogle, draining any stakes from the scene and any sense of Zeus as an actual threat. It's a sequence the movie thinks is bold and daring, but it plays as juvenile, drawn out, and pointless. Falcon and the Winter Soldier ends its finale with Sam delivering a long, lecturing speech to a room of senators, telling them to do better. It's preachy, on the nose, and brings the action to a dead stop so the show can state its themes out loud. A genuinely powerful idea, buried under a monologue that says everything and earns very little. Secret Invasion opens by killing Maria Hill, Fury's closest ally for over a decade, in the very first episode, gunned down in a chaotic crowd. A character fans had followed since the first Avengers gets a sudden, weightless exit just to prove the show has stakes. No real send-off, no payoff, just a beloved face gone in a single blink. Homecoming is fun, but it leans hard on making Spider-Man dependent on Tony Stark's gadgets. A talking suit, an AI assistant, and an instant kill mode. Half of Peter's charm is being a scrappy kid in homemade gear, and handing him a high-tech Stark suit strips that away. For too much of the film, Spider-Man basically becomes Iron Man Jr. Shang-Chi delivers some of the best hand-to-hand combat the MCU has ever filmed, then ditches all of it for a finale full of giant CGI dragons and a faceless, soul-sucking monster. The grounded martial arts that made the movie special evaporate into a generic glowing blob brawl, the exact third-act sludge Marvel keeps falling back on. Gorr the God Butcher is one of Marvel's darkest villains, and Love and Thunder refuses to actually show him butchering anyone. His terrifying crusade happens almost entirely off-screen, defanging a character built on pure horror. We're told he's a monster, but never made to feel it, wasting Christian Bale's chilling performance on a toothless threat. No Way Home needs the other two Spider-Men to appear, so it has Ned, a totally normal teenager, randomly discover he can open Doctor Strange's sling ring portals just by wishing for it. No setup, no explanation, no follow-up afterward. A glaring plot convenience that exists purely to drag the story exactly where it needs to go. Falcon and the Winter Soldier reveals Sharon Carter is secretly the Power Broker, a ruthless underworld crime boss. The twist arrives with almost no build-up, betrays a character we'd known as a loyal agent since Winter Soldier, and then gets basically dropped. A turn that sacrifices a familiar hero for a shock that ultimately goes nowhere. Secret Invasion opens every episode with bizarre, melting AI-generated artwork as its title sequence, a baffling choice for a show literally about not trusting what's real. The visuals look cheap and unsettling, and using a machine to replace human artists landed terribly. Before a single scene even plays, the show already tells you nobody cared. Love and Thunder turns Thor's axe Stormbreaker into a jealous, sentient ex that sulks every time Thor reaches for Mjolnir. The weapon-love triangle gag gets stretched across the entire movie, treating a mighty artifact like a clingy partner. It's the kind of forced quirk that makes a serious hero's arsenal feel like a sitcom prop. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and drop your single most hated scene down in the comments. See you in the next one.